happened? California banned plastic straws and we're still ranked 50th. Come on, this is awful. So what'd I do? My wife and I, we talked about it. You know what we decided? We decided, yeah, maybe New York's not for us. That's what we thought. So we started researching other states. Built a real cool spreadsheet. Had a column for property tax, column for sales tax, schools tax, education quality, everything. We narrowed it down to South Carolina. South Carolina was where we were gonna look for our new home to raise our family. We started looking at houses, looking at school districts, figuring out which district we wanted to move to. As we were looking at their houses, there's one more requirement. See, they had already met the liberty piece. They had already met the family piece. They met the affordability and the opportunity piece. They had met all those things. We had one other requirement. That was where we moved had to be close to an airport. An airport that could get us back to Rochester, and in a way that we could afford it. And every time my wife would find a new house for us to check out, the question would be, as I'm driving between appointments, well, how far away is the airport? We then realized that it doesn't matter where we go. It doesn't matter where we go. New York State is home. Upstate New York is home. Rochester was home. And we didn't want to leave. We didn't want to leave. We found that New York State's not just home. It's where our family is. And it's worth staying and fighting for. Yeah. That's what we found. Once we made that realization, we realized that things have to change in New York State. They have to change. We have to have an education system where we let teachers teach. We cannot have some bureaucrat in Albany telling you how your child is going to learn best. It's not going to work. It hasn't worked. We need a new New York. We need a New York where one city does not dictate how the rest of us live. We need a new New York where our government's purpose is to protect your rights, not regulate your life. We need a new New York where you're in charge of your life and you can manage your local county. We need home rule again. We need, when you go to that ballot box to vote for your local officials, that there isn't an Albany that says, yeah, that's great, but here's some unfunded mandates you gotta do anyways. Gotta get rid of that. So here we are, we're all in a room. People have spoken about how to turn your town or your county gold. Some of you guys have followed this race for a long time. Some of you are just getting on board. I gotta tell you what, this is a marathon. This is a marathon. We are in the final sprint, and we are going for the gold. We are going for the gold. I want everybody to know that this year is not the year of the Democrats. It's not. It's not the year of the Republicans. It's not. It's not even the year of the Libertarians. It is the year of the families of New York. It's the year of the small businesses in New York. It is the year of the individual in New York. Guys, November 6th, we are going to elect Larry Sharpe as New York State's next governor so we can build a new New York.
So that's everyone we want to hear from, right? Come on, you can't, come on, guys. All right, so we're running overtime, so please, if you can, give the bar a little more business. But I just want to very quickly introduce, one more time, the next governor of New York, Larry Sharpe!
You know, the number one thing I think about here is something that happened on my radio show last week. Someone called me up and they said, Larry, I have a question for you. And they said, Larry, can you tell me what was one thing in your life that really affected you tremendously, that you think it affected you, a lot? And I thought, wow, so many things in my life. But I told him something that was very personal, and I said it out loud. I said it on the air. You can go watch it if you want to. It's on the Facebook page. And it was personal, and it wasn't a good thing. My father was not a very good husband to my mom, and he cheated on her often. And at one point she got tired of it, and she said, I'm leaving you, I'm done. And he said to her, you can't leave me because I'll kill you. And he was serious. He wasn't joking. He was in law enforcement. He had a firearm. He was serious. My mother stood up to him, and she said, I'll take Larry, and you'll never find us. My father completely backed down, and he changed his behavior overnight. Overnight. It was as if she said, no more, I'm standing up to the bully, and he changed his behavior overnight. And when I say overnight, I mean like the next day, he was a different man. They went from a rocky relationship to what my mother told me was the best relationship she ever had. Everything changed from that day. She stood up to him, he backed down. She gave him a second chance. And he took it. He became a better man. And sadly, 2 years later, 3 years later, maybe 4, I remember the time frame, maybe 4 years later, he died anyway. And devastated my mom. My mom was devastated. For some of you who know my story, she was so devastated that our relationship suffered tremendously. And that's one of the reasons why I left and joined the Marine Corps at 17, because I didn't want to be in my household anymore. My mom couldn't handle my father dying and then me leaving also. And my mom became an addict. First legal drugs, and eventually illegal drugs, and she was arrested and she was a felon. I pulled her out of prison. Why would I tell you these stories? Because it's who I am. I'm not embarrassed in any way, shape, or form of my scars. I accept my humanity. I accept the errors that I've made in my life and the people who've made errors in their life, and I know that we're imperfect. I traveled the state and people said, Larry, you seem to connect to people. Because I'm just expecting you all to be human, and I'm showing you that I'm human. And I expect you all to have problems, and I expect you all to have problems in your family because I have problems, and I have problems in my family. And when I pulled my mom out of prison, I saw how much she struggled. And I hated that no one else wanted to give her a second chance. But I would. I used my money to the best of my ability to get her up and running, and she still struggled. And that's why I became an entrepreneur. That's who I am now, I'm an entrepreneur. But I became an entrepreneur not because I was like, I'm gonna go make money. I became an entrepreneur because I wanted my mom to not be a hostage to the boss that she had, because she was. As a felon, it's tough. If you have felons in your life, you know it's hard. Not impossible, but it's hard. Felons will struggle, right? It's difficult when that happens. So I said, you know what? We're gonna start a business. And for those of you who know, I started a trucking business. When I started that trucking business, you know who had full ownership of that company? My mom. I had no ownership. I ran that company like it was my company, and I had zero ownership. Because I had to make sure my mom couldn't be fired. She owned it. Not a hostage. That's how I decided to fix that issue. People deserve second chances. So one of the major reasons why I brought Chris up here today. Chris deserves one too. We all do. And people get mad at me sometimes when they say, well, Larry, you say things that are weird. You say things that aren't political. Yeah, I say things that are human. That's what I do. That's what I do. Thank you. Thank you. We all deserve second chances. And what winds up happening right now in New York State is we don't get them. We fall down one time and then we can't get back up because it's so oppressive. We fall down one time and there's no way of getting back up except being stuck in a government program that doesn't allow us a second chance but forces us into second-class citizenship. I want us all to have a second chance when we fail, because we're all going to fail. But more importantly, just who we are. This nation was built on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you cannot pursue happiness without failing. That's how it works. If you don't fail, you don't do anything. If you don't fail, how can you learn anything? People fail. I fail. I'm human. But when I fail, I tell you I fail. If I have problems, I tell you I have problems. The most important thing, though, is I try to fix them and get better. And the most important thing, I am humbled by my failures. I bring this up for a very important reason. People ask, why am I running? They say, Larry, you should have run as a Democrat or a Republican, or you should just, deal with the two parties. Here is the biggest reason why I'm running of all the reasons. For 16 years, Democrats have run this state. They've won every single statewide election. Governor, lieutenant governor, senator, AG, everything. And they fixed nothing. This state is in a death spiral because of them. For 16 years, Republican Party has watched this happen. For 16 years, they watched it. And they have no plan and no movement. I'm running because they suck. That's the reason. That is the reason. I don't want to leave. I don't want to move. Right? Andrew said he went to South Carolina. I was going to go to North Carolina. I was going to leave too. I was down there because for what I do for a living, I need a big city. So I was going down there to Charlotte. That's what I was thinking about moving to. And when I went down there, I realized how amazing it was. And I got mad. Why is my state not that good? So I came back to fight, just like Andrew. I'm running because they cannot solve the problems I can. A couple people up here said, I came to just one Larry Sharpe event, and I was moved, or I got it. The reason is, you don't hear me say things like, well, just, what we'll do is we'll deal with waste, fraud, and abuse, and that's stuff that a politician says that means nothing. I tell you that our education system is broken. I tell you that. I tell you that 11th and 12th grade for too many kids is video games, gym, study hall, and smoking weed. No one else tells you that. How do I know that? I'm in it. I see it. I crossed this entire state and I heard what people told me. I wasn't an expert on this state when I started, but that's why I started 15 months ago. And as I crossed the state, I learned and I figured things out and I try to find answers and I try to find solutions and I tell you what's actually happening, because it is. You can't fix a problem until you can identify it first. I'm the guy who's telling you that I've identified problems trying to fix them. Now you might say, well, Larry, you have to give the Democrats Republicans a chance because they failed. Here's my worry. They have failed. Yes, they have.
They had their chance. They did. They had their chance.
Where is their plan? Where is their movement? Nowhere. They teased me. They said, Larry, where were you 8 years ago? Where were you 6 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago? We were fighting for this and fighting for that. I wasn't a governor. I wasn't an executive. I wasn't a mayor. My job 5 years ago was fixing my family and my business after the crash 2008 devastated me. That was my business. That's what my job was. And I did my job. Their job was to make sure this state didn't go into a death spiral of over 100,000 New Yorkers leaving every single year, and they failed. Yeah, they've been doing this for 16 years, but they have nothing. I've been doing this 1 year. And I have a movement and a plan for everything. We can fix this state. How do I know I have a movement? I have you. That's how I know. I have you. How many of you saw the debate just recently? Saw that? There are certain things that you should recognize in that debate that was important. One. Well, that's true, yes. That's true, yes. Yes. But when they talked about the idea, this is all about ideas, you didn't hear many ideas. What you heard was the same old thing again and again and again. Yes, and you always heard that. Remember those phrases, invest and fund. But I got to tell you, the Republican was smart. He did something else. He must have heard me say it before. He said, we're going to direct money. Did you hear that one? That was a good one. I was like, well done. That was good. Because direct money means tax. It's just not invest or fund. So that was good. I'll give him that. From now on, when you hear direct money, yeah, that's his other one. It means tax. But the funny part here is two things. You saw me on two separate issues be strong on two separate issues where no one else would be. I was strong when they talked about the rights of people who are the LGBT community. Remember that? And I said, yes. And what I said was, I hate the idea of a protected class because it makes people second-class citizens, and I can't stand that. But I still know we have to move through this and understand that making that law is not enough. We have to change culture to where we simply say, live the way you want to live, just leave me alone. That's what we do. We must change culture. But that's usually a very left issue. But then we went to the right, and they asked about Second Amendment and SAFE Act. And they asked two separate questions about, well, they asked about red flag laws, and they asked about the SAFE Act. And in both cases, I stood strong on those also, a traditionally right idea. But I still stood strong. I was the only one who literally said, no need for red flag laws. I said that openly. No need for red flag laws. No need. And I'm the only one who said, I will ensure the SAFE Act is repealed by 2020. I said that. Did the Republican? No. He dodged. He dodged. But what do those things have in common? They have something in common. Yes, thank you. They do. It's the idea of, if you don't want a firearm, don't buy a firearm. I'm really okay with that. The Second Amendment is not a requirement. It's a right. New York State, it's the second suggestion. But we want to keep it back as the Second Amendment. It's a right, not a requirement. This goes to the same thing, same idea. Live your life the way you want to live, just don't force it on me. This is what we're talking about. And I couldn't see anybody, and I'll go one step further. I'll go to an idea. Someone asked me when I was in Utica. When I was in Utica, some of you may know they're trying to build a hospital in Utica, in downtown area. And I'm against the hospital, building a hospital. And they asked me why. I said, Larry, you can't be against the hospital. You don't know, whether it's a good idea or not. And I said, but they're using eminent domain. And for those of you who don't know what eminent domain is, they're literally going to take the property of over 30 businesses. Just take them. The government will just take it and put a hospital in there. A business you built, you may work at, your land, gone. Government takes it. It's called eminent domain. Right? His Majesty King Andrew literally said, we can build anything we want, that's why we have eminent domain. The mayor of New York City, his exact words were, property rights get in the way. That's what he said. So I said, I don't want the hospital. They said, but you don't understand, Larry, you have to read about it. I said, I don't have to read anything. If you're stealing someone's land, it's a bad idea, period. Period. It's a bad idea. If the hospital is a great idea, and what I heard at that point was, Larry, you don't understand, it's a good investment. I said, great, it's a good investment. Where are all the New York City bankers? Rushing up with checkbooks to buy people's property. That's what happens when you have a good investment, right? Don't bankers rush up there with checkbooks, buying stuff, because it's a good investment? No, what they meant was an investment for the state. If you remember the first debate they had, with His Majesty and the Sacrificial Lamb when they had their one-on-one debate. His Majesty said, I'm the greatest builder, over $1 billion. I'm a great builder. Government shouldn't be building. We should be building. He's not the ancient pharaoh of Egypt building pyramids. Well, actually he is, but he shouldn't be. He's got his own bridge, right? So yeah, I guess he is. He shouldn't be. We should be building. We have to facilitate us building. Every time he takes his $100 million or $10 million, that's our taxpayer money he's taking away from us. We have to make sure this works better for us. It's all about that same idea. We need to make sure that we are taking our government away from Albany and DC and more locally, but with one very important issue. We have to add transparency, we have to add accountability, so that the governor in Albany is no longer the guy who says, I'm going to enforce my will upon you, but instead the guy who says, I'm going to protect your rights against the local bully, which always pops up. So I want to wrap this up with a very important piece, and that is the idea of a second chance. People get upset sometimes and say, well, that guy should be punished forever, or that gal should be punished forever, or this is terrible. People say someone doesn't deserve a second chance until it's them. Then they want that second chance. Then they deserve that second chance. We all deserve second chances. But something else, not just us, our families that have been broken deserve second chances. Our businesses that have collapsed over the past 8 years deserve second chances. Our farmers that are struggling so hard and that are in such debt that they've had farms for 6, 7 generations, they deserve second chances. This entire state that has been in a death spiral for 8 years deserves a second chance. And we can do it on November 6th by voting Sharpe Hollister. Now there are people who say, well, Larry, this all sounds great. How are we going to make it happen, Larry? You're a long shot, or you could never win, or whatever I hear all the time. Here's what I know. I'm sure. I'll ask a quick question here. How many people in this room are now or have been registered Democrats? Great. How many are now or have been registered Republicans? How about are registered something but not Democrat Republican? Anybody here is going to be the first time they voted in at least 4 years this year? Yes. Every single event I go to, I get the same thing. No one else does that. This is a movement. New York State is changed. It's no longer the same, my friends. It has changed. Yes. That's how I know. If we just go out there on Tuesday and tell our friends and tell our family and talk about a second chance for New York State and for ourselves, and talk about fixing this state and not having to move away and making things better, we can actually win this thing. This is a winnable race. We have 3 days left. I told you that I would sprint to the end. I told you that without question, I will empty my tank. I will expend all remaining. Am I right, my friend? We will expend all remaining? That's my friend, Tony Valunas. I haven't seen this man in 30 years. We served together in the Marine Corps. We will expend all remaining. I will do it. I need it from you. Fight hard till the end. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody, get out there and vote. If we do it, we can give New York a second chance. We can make a better New York. We can make a happier New York. We can make a new New York. Thank you.